Hi everyone, it's Shade here, just giving a quick showcase of the update to my mod, Shade's Vehicle Tuner. What we can do is things such as increase the weapon damage, find a way to add in some secondary weapons, although that's a little bit wonky, add in vehicle cargo, set up camping, directly embark onto your ship, and also do some automated harvesting of nearby materials. That's what we've got in so far, and this could continue to evolve as time goes on. Now, I'm just going to mention straight off the bat, because I know everyone's going to be asking it, and lots of people already are asking it. The original intention of this mod was to try and make some adjustments to your vehicle, hence the name Tuner, on the fly when you want. However, this isn't possible. The way it's currently set up as of September 2024 is that vehicle stats are soft locked or soft capped inside the vehicle objects themselves inside the game. Currently, there are no functions available to call in order to buff vehicle or furniture stats like there are for changing player or spaceship stats on the fly. Now, this may come if Bethesda add these functions in later, or if someone is able to implement it as a script extender plugin, but right now it is not possible. The only way to get improved vehicle stats or different stats or handling or boost or any of that shit, anything to do with actual driving, is by creating new or different vehicles or getting in here and modifying the existing vehicle, which is also currently soft locked in the creation kit, but that'll ease up soon. Now, when you first install the mod and load into the game, these are the options that are enabled by default. To see the options, you must come into your settings, gameplay options, and scroll down, and you'll see all the vehicle tuner stuff in here. You must be loaded into a save. For any mod, there is no visibility of mod features or mod options added into this menu from the main menu or the title screen when you first open the game. You must be loaded into your character and then go to the menu, and then you can see all the options here. So when you first load in, cargo storage will be available at 250 kilos. You'll be able to access it whilst nearby, similar to the default spaceship cargo options. You can summon your vehicle using the remote, and the primary weapon scaling will be set at what I've sort of come up with being a good or a decent player level scaling system. Everything else is disabled by default, and you'll have to enable each one individually after you have read how it works and what it means. Please do not ask me questions if it's already listed in here. Alrighty, so first up, vehicle cargo. Easy, just approach the vehicle. There's an extra button, hit the button, bam, there is your cargo. You can choose two different sizes depending on what you select inside the game options menu. Next up, we have improved weapon damage. So now you can actually do some damage that should make more sense based on your level and actually kill things rather than just sitting there shooting ping pong balls at them. You can actually do some realistic damage now, so that's enabled by default, and you can crank that up and down as you desire as well. Now, the next key thing to take a look at is the game will add in a remote to your inventory. It displays as a weapon. You equip it or you select it to activate it, it will simply quickly unequip itself and it will show the menu when you are outside of any other menus. Best way to use this is to bind it to a hotkey of some kind so you can quickly access it, unless you only want to use it rarely. But if you click it or access it, it gives you the message you must exit all the menus, which we do, and huzzah, the menu comes up. Now you've got it bound to a hotkey, same kind of experience, it comes up. So from here you can summon your vehicle if you are close enough in range. The range will vary based on whether you have traveled very far, if your system has enough memory to keep more things loaded in at a distance, and whether you've just loaded in. So if you are on a weaker system and you've just loaded a save and you're not near your vehicle, the chances are you'll need to be very close to your vehicle because the game actually despawns it until you get close enough for it to respawn. If it's not in the game can't summon it to you. So that's why that is a very variable experience for everyone. Now, whilst we're in the vehicle, you can also pop it, and this is where we can do things like access the cargo, like always. We can also do what I've called an emergency exit, which quickly just kicks you straight out. This is going to be useful if the vehicle is stuck or being weird, or if it's doing that weird floaty thing, which is a game bug. You can just emergency exit, which also resets the vehicle. So if it's being all weird and floaty, do a summon or do an emergency exit, and your vehicle will be reset back to normal. All right, let's check out some of the other features. The next big feature, which took me yonks to implement and in the end is still a little bit clunky, is a series of secondary weapons. So if we enable this, it can be enabled in two main ways. One is ammo, where it will consume any ammunition in your inventory or your vehicle's inventory, which is kind of semi-realistic, but the main thing is it lets you shoot it faster. If you select the unlimited ammo option, you can shoot anything for as often as you like, but it has a slower fire rate. And then, similar to the primary weapon scaling, this secondary weapon scaling will change the scaling of the damage for the weapons that I have added into the game. They should be roughly on par with the default weapon, which is pretty weak. But with the scaling being the same as the other, hopefully it works out all right. The other thing to keep in note is the primary weapon scaling, which is the vehicle weapons. This will affect any vehicles and any weapons in the game that have been tagged with the current keywords used for vehicle weapons. So if someone adds in a new vehicle with a brand new weapon and it does not have the proper keywords for vehicle weapons tagged, it will not affect them. Keep that in mind also if someone creates a weapon for a vehicle which is already quite powerful, you might need to turn this up and down or off entirely if the scaling between vehicles is not quite being consistent. All right, so we enable the secondary vehicle options. We get another remote added to us. Whenever you change a game option relating to this mod, it will refresh all of the settings. So keep in mind in that. And as for any mod, always wait a good 5 to 10 to 20 seconds for it to refresh and settle before you then try and use its features, either after loading into your game or after changing one of its related settings. But now if we jump on in, we can choose from a series of weapons. I like using the rocket launcher because who doesn't love a good rocket launcher? And then to fire it, you need to locate the fire secondary weapon option. Same as before, you click it and it will not do anything until you get out. Best way to handle this is also to bind it to a quick slot. Unfortunately, that means you got to put it in a quick slot that's easy to access, and if you're on a controller, it's not quite as good as being on a keyboard where you can just hit the button and shoot it as you wish. At the moment, I haven't not found an easier or smoother way to implement this. I will keep experimenting, but it has some limitations. It's a little clunky, but it does work and it does do decent weapon damage. Now that we've got some buffed and additional weapons, vehicle combat can also be a lot more enjoyable. Oh yes. One of the things I did also find fun when I was testing this out was one of these was, yes, the heavy mag shot. Sniper. Snipe this shit out of the air. Oh, I missed. There we go. Sniped it out of the air. It wasn't quite as easy as I remember doing when I was testing it. Anyway, that is some of the shortcomings of this vehicle weapon system that I've implemented. It's not perfect. If I can get things to detect earlier and easier and smoother, I will implement them. But right now, this is the only way to achieve it that I've found so far. Okay, next up, auto harvesting. How annoying is it harvesting anything in any game, especially Starfield? And the mineral focused or the mineral harvesting feature or mining feature just by shooting the weapon is super lame. So what we've done here is implemented a few harvesting options for minerals and ore, flora, so plants and those organic ingredients, and then fauna, so any creatures that you take out, you can also harvest their components. With the mineral harvesting, what we can do is choose the rarity of minerals you would like to harvest. So, you know, all of them uncommon, rare, exotic, or unique only. So it's whatever you've chosen and above. So uncommon and above, rare and above, exotic and above, or just unique. This can really help in filtering out some of the noise or the stuff that you don't want to bother with. Now if we jump on in. As we drive around, we should see certain things being automatically harvested, including stuff out of creatures as well. Where it ends up is into your vehicle inventory or your vehicle cargo space. If the cargo space fills up in your vehicle, it will then just go to your player inventory, which will allow you to keep filling up and getting over encumbered. So keep that in mind. It will keep harvesting until you turn the feature off or turn down the level of what it is gathering for you. But it does mean it's kind of a bit more fun. You can drive around if you're on a planet that has some rare or specific resources you need. Turn on the harvesting, drive around, collect what you need. Okay, next up we have vehicle camping. Let's turn that on and see what we can do. The options here relate to either it's disabled or the amount of materials costed when using the workbenches provided. Theoretically, because you're not in your super awesome refined and modern crafting stations at the lodge or on your ship, because you're out and roughing it, theoretically you would use either more materials or be restricted in what you can craft. Because the game doesn't allow me to easily filter out what you can craft, I've just added some options for different amounts of materials required with very, very minor experience penalties. So anyway, pick what you think works best for you. Now, obviously, when using this feature, you're going to want to try and park on relatively flat ground. I've put in some algorithmic features to try and help it level out, but if you're on weird, bumpy or slopey terrain and it displays or spawns in all weird, well, that's on you. That's as best as I can get it. This is as best as the game will let me do it. But now when you approach the vehicle, you can set up camp and be provided with a couple of options. The workbenches option was the first one implemented, and I think probably the most practical. So in selecting that, camp will spawn in around you with various workbenches such as cooking facilities, camp, weapon workbench, suit workbench, and we also have the mission boards, so we can also browse and select various missions from around the place straight from camp. That should be nice and convenient, yeah? Now, whilst you're at camp, you will also have some buffs that give you some shelter out in the wilds. But also fast travel is unavailable. Now this is because I need to avoid having junk lay around filling up and bloating save files or causing other issues in the game. So we need to make sure camp is packed up before we travel anywhere. Either just jumping in the vehicle, or you can choose to pack up and it will despawn. Away you go on your next adventure. Alrighty, the other camp option currently available is something for a bit more role-playing and aesthetic reasons, campfire and bed setup. So this is kind of cool, I reckon, where we've got some campfires, we've got some sleeping arrangements, and we've still got a handy mission board here if we want it. Right now we've got the camp kitchen as well. I might look to add functions for cooking on the campfire later, but it does mean you've got more things popping up in your face, so we'll see how it goes. And you've got to have a beach ball to muck around. Who doesn't want a good beach ball, right? Now, as you can see, it spawned on a bit of a slope, which has nested some of the stuff into the ground. However, there are furniture items that will still continue to work. There's going to be other markers around the camp too, so you'll find that your followers will start interacting with things like repairing something on your vehicle, sleeping, standing, doing push-ups, and I've also placed a couple of markers here, so if you do happen to have a pet creature or a pet S model robot with you, it should also theoretically sleep by the campfire, but that needs a bit more testing to be determined. Alright, as you drift further away from camp, you will lose your sheltered bonuses, so you got to be pretty close to get the bonuses for the environmental. Oh, it's still showing right now, so I still must be close enough. I think I set it to 25 meters. There we go. Step back a few more steps. There we go. So now we're out of the sheltered zone. No bonuses from being in camp anymore. But fast travel is still unavailable, like I mentioned, to make sure we don't upset the game engine or bug shit out later. But if you step, I think it's 150 meters away from camp, it will automatically pack up and despawn. In the meantime, if you're closer than that, you cannot summon the vehicle to you. if camp is out. Same reason, we need to make sure we've got a way to pack up the camp, and whoa, right now that depends on the vehicle being nearby in order to pack it up. But get 150 meters away, it will automatically despawn or pack up the camp, and then you can also magically summon your vehicle again. Now also, one thing to note is you must be out of combat in order to set up camp. If it's not displaying, you've probably got a red icon on your watch compass somewhere and there's something hostile nearby. So one of the things that is also need to be kept in mind, if you have a camp set up nearby, so it's less than 150 meters away and you are near a load door, you'll see that the door is temporarily disabled whilst camp is packed up, and then afterwards, once camp has been packed up, you can then proceed through to the area you're trying to go into. Again, this is because we need to make sure we clean up all the artifacts so I don't break your game. Note that this also includes ship doors, or going through your loading dock to get into your ship. Okay, finally, one of the last features I've added is direct ship boarding. So what we can have is an option enabled. So when we drive close enough to the ship or your loading bay, depending on the ship's layout and the ship's size, you can get a menu to board straight in. Now, it's not quite as good as being able to actually drive up a loading ramp, but it does function pretty well, I think. So with that enabled, all we need to do is wait for our settings to refresh, like I mentioned earlier. Okay, should be good to go. Now, as we approach our ship, we should get the option to load straight in. We can board, cockpit, or we can transfer cargo directly to the ship. So this will instantly transfer anything out of your vehicle into the ship's cargo hold. Or yes, we can just board straight into the ship. Away we go.
Gift. I hope it's worthy of your deeds.
Okay, thanks, creepy fan dude. And then of course we can just also load back out and jump back in our vehicle again and keep adventuring. Keep in mind, when you jump back out, it will usually reset the vehicle to its default loading position. This depends on your ship layout, and your ship's size, I believe. That's not something that can be changed. So if you have a ship and the vehicle spawns way off to the side, like it does with the Guardian ships, you can still typically whip out your remote, summon it to you, straight back in you go, and you're all set. There's plenty of those fat cows around. Anyway, that is it for this mod showcase. Hopefully you like it. Please give me a like, a follow, a subscribe, or a share if you do. Stay tuned to the mod page details for updates and commentary as this continues to evolve. But in the meantime, have fun adventuring, and I'll see you somewhere out in the Starfield. Two bros sitting in the Rev 8.